First, Fred is pursuing a variety of interests since retiring 6 years ago as a regional vice president of PCL Construction Services, a premier builder of many complex transportation and commercial construction projects. In addition to investing in and mentoring startup companies, coaching executives, traveling, sitting on a few boards and staying out of his wife's hair, he is active with several nonprofits, mostly notably the Bellevue Rotary Club, where he serves as an officer and a chair of numerous committees. And David. I think the most important one is staying out of the wife's hair, right? David began his career with Arthur Anderson in Seattle, where he worked in the audit division for 13 years, specializing in telecommunications and privately held corporations. He left Anderson to run an international fishing organization for 10 years. He was the CFO worldwide with offices in Melbourne, Australia, Tokyo, Japan, Hong Kong, Toronto, Canada, London, Lisbon, Portugal, Moscow, Russia. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that.
Vladivostok.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And headquartered in Kirkland, Washington. He was the president of the U.S. operations. By the way, Moscow, there's no cow in Moscow, and I pronounced it wrong. That's a factoid. And anyways, for the past 10 years, David has acted as a CFO for many tech companies. Currently, he is CFO of Cell Systems in Kirkland, Native Network, Wenatchee, and Valley Cold Storage, Burlington. He is on the board of directors, advisors of Arena Sports, Two Bar Spirits, Above Cloud, and Polera. David is an active member of the Rotary Club of Bellevue and is president, 2018-19. He is also on the board of the Municipal League Foundation. David is a graduate of the University of California and a CPA inactive in Washington State. He lives in Mercer Island with his wife of 30 years, and he's also an Eagle Scout.
Wow.
Welcome, gentlemen.
So I'll tell you one of my favorite stories about David before we get
I'm
started.
going to leave the room.
So this is a guy you heard about his fishing endeavor. He ran his fishing company. He sat down and negotiated fishing rights with the North Koreans. How many people do you know that negotiate with the North Koreans? He has.
And that was before it was illegal to do business with them. We only sent one American to North Korea, and we exchanged fuel for fishing rights. So my classification is fishing commercial. So I was one of the pass I was. Which means I speak Russian badly.
You see Japan or on the other side?
I see Japan side on the inside.
So one other thing has nothing to do with Senegal. You probably should explain the peace builder thing.
So
Before we get started.
thank you. This is we have a peace committee. As the international president this year has designated peace as one of his major initiatives. So the head of our peace committee at our last meeting on Tuesday created these cards for volunteers. I volunteered to wear, and I'm wearing it for the week. In fact, I have a poker game tonight. I will wear it at the poker game tonight to generate people ask, what does that mean? And what I said, what it means is it means building community. Rotary is building community, and building community creates peace. And so that's how we're trying to pick out. Now, I will say the election was Tuesday night. I went to several election parties that night because I like to drink beer and it's free, those things. It meets both my criteria, beer and free. But I will say I got interviewed by two Seattle Times columnists, a Como columnist, and a stranger columnist, because they all had this, what is this, what are you doing? And I got to be able to promote Rotary.
That's awesome.
You need one.
This weekend, except we'll probably spell it wrong.
Free tattoos. So Fred is, I'm going to say before he starts, if I can tell a Fred story. Fred is one of those people, if he asks you to go somewhere, you don't ask why, you just do. So Fred has taken me to Africa. He's taken me to New Mexico. He's taken me to New York. I've gone with him. He's taking our club to Colorado. So he likes to travel and likes to bring people with him. So it's kind of fun to travel.
I'm moving to Bellevue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Senegal. Again, thank you very much for your generous contribution, $1,000 from your club is, to me, that's pretty impressive. So thank you very much. Okay, Senegal. For those of you like Dave and I had no idea where Senegal was before we started this, that's where it is. In that part of Africa. That's right. So this project addresses water and food security for a rural village in Senegal. And it's doing it by addressing 4 different sectors. And the first sector is water. And the first step is to go in and rehabilitate and expand an existing well that's already there on site, to install a solar powered pump, and to build a gravity-fed irrigation system so that you can then move to the second step, which is food. And this is one of the cornerstones of the whole project, is building a community garden for the village. It's about 1 hectare in size, and they have to find a plot of land in the village that's acceptable, it's close enough to the well, that they can essentially secure through a deed or an agreement with whoever owns the land, which is usually the chief. Also get the local government to agree to this and build this garden. And then that begins the process of teaching the village how to grow a year-round sustainable garden that they can, number one, most importantly, feed themselves nutritious food, and then secondly, also develop a cash crop so they can generate some income. The next factor here is energy and environment. And again, this is done with the solar powered pump from the water. They also do cook stove training, because right now they're cooking on open fires in the middle of their huts, and it's very inefficient. They burn up a lot of wood. They've torn down what few trees there are to find their firewood, and they fill the hut with smoke, and the kids trip over the burning embers and the fire. So they go in and teach them how to use local materials that are available, sand, clay, straw, and build this little cook stove you see. And so that saves huge on the environment. It's efficient.
Yeah, and they have, the pot that they show, they have 3 different sizes of pots that they use in their traditional cooking. So this is not creating anything new. They have these, so it's just building the outside and building the one that's used the most, and then the village actually has the other one. So again, it uses about between 1/3 and 1/5 less wood to cook and heat, and presents about 10% of the smoke factor compared to what the open flames that they've been using before. So it's a very efficient use. They also use it, the group we're working uses it as a test to the village to see if the village is committed to working and volunteering and doing this as a group. And so usually what the group we're working with, which is called CRAIG, goes in and they work with the village, and they come in and they do a training, and they teach them how to do it. And then they'll come back in 3 to 5 weeks and see how many are actually got constructed and being used. If they have about a 75 to 80% use rate, then the village will go on the list to potentially work with the food program. If they don't feel there's a commitment enough to be able to do, because this is a long project. This is a 5-year project that we're working on. If they don't have the commitment up front, you got to get the buy-in to be able to get this long-term thing. So it's kind of a way to test the village to make sure that they're committed for the project.
Yeah, and that's a key step to this, is making sure that the entire village is committed to it, because it takes the whole village to run this garden, to operate the garden, and to move on to the next step, which is poultry production. So this is the next step now in generating more income for the village. So they build a little poultry shed, they buy the chicks commercially, and they raise the chicks for
6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks, and
Usually
they
8 weeks.
sell them.
Yeah.
And then this also leads to the Voluntary Savings and Lending Association, which is set up in the village, And one of the challenges, one of the reasons this takes 5 years is because you're going in and teaching a bunch of rural villagers that have never sat in a classroom, much less have the ability to read and write. So to get them organized to be able to undertake this type of organization and committee structure and all that is a big challenge.
It's interesting to look, you know, you figure, you see the rustic nature of the village, and then you look like somebody visited Home Depot and got all those plastic chairs. They just don't got a place there.
Right.
And the other one, if you notice, they're dressed immaculate.
Yeah.
The women are very well dressed, and you know, makeup and jewelry and colorful and friendly and nice. But I mean, it's, and then they're sitting on plastic chairs.
I
in
knew
the
that
middle
was
of the desert.
genetic.
Just knew it. Is this a former French colony?
Yes, it is.
It's a Christian nation?
Muslim.
Muslim?
Yeah, 95% Muslim. So our partner, as David mentioned, is this organization called CREATE. CREATE was founded about 10 years ago. It's actually based in Eugene, Oregon. They have 4 staff people in Eugene that are management and fundraising. But really where the work happens is in Senegal. They've got 15 staff in Senegal, all Senegalese, most of them college educated, and most of the degrees are in agriculture, because that's the biggest thing that they're teaching is growing this garden and running this garden. The executive director is a Rotary member in the Eugene, Oregon Club. They've done 15, been involved, they have 15 villages in various stages through this 5-year cycle. 3 of them have graduated already, and they're adding other villages every year. Our program will do 1 village. So these are the steps over the 5-year period that's involved.
Explain the old well thing. Why are we doing old wells instead of new?
The wells that we're rehabilitating, by and large, were built during the colonial period by the French, when the French colonized back in the 1800s. And that was the first source of water for the village, first reliable source. And then in the 60s, the government came in and said, well, you obviously don't get enough water from this well because, you know, it's bucket and rope, and you can't really get a lot of water other than just drinking water. So we're going to come in and we're going to build this diesel-powered well, you know, diesel-powered pump, and there you go. So they came in and built all these diesel-powered wells all over in all these villages, and they ran for, I don't know when they ran, a couple of years, but then nobody could afford to maintain them, know how to maintain them, could pay for the diesel to run them, and so they fell into disrepair. In the meantime, the old colonial wells also fell into disrepair because they weren't used for a period of time. Trash fell in them, dead animals fell in them, some of them collapsed. So what ended up happening is the people ended up walking 5 miles to somebody that did have a working well to get their water. So what CREATE figured out is you could come in and look at these old colonial wells and you could rehabilitate them. And now once you put a solar powered pump on it, it works great.
How deep are they?
They're generally 30 to 70 feet.
And the wells, these old wells, when we're driving out in the countryside, they're everywhere. You see them everywhere. Most of them, you know, no one's using most of them. And so you see these wells out there, and then you see the donkey truck pulling a cart full of,
Jerry cans.
jerry cans full of water.
Yeah.
You know, going right by, and they probably go buy a dozen wells going to wherever their things. And so to me, it was very interesting that they're all over the place.
How do they prevent your solar wells from going to disrepair? Because I guess they also need some kind of maintenance, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they do, but what they do is they cover them up, and they lock them up, and they fence them off so that nobody can come in and poach. So the village takes control of that. with Creates Assistance. I mean, they've talked
And they have a screw pump that works during when the sun's out. As we saw, fills up a 5,000
5,000 liter.
you know, things, and then they use gravity during the day to fill it up. And they also have usually 4 cisterns out that fills up so that, you know, if there's a cloudy day or a few days where they're not getting much, so there's always water available. And it is in, you know, it is in a protected area. This is actually Fred helping with maintenance. The gentleman's name is, I apologize.
I forget.
He's got a very American nice name, I love it. But he's up there, and one of the things they want to do is that they, you know, clean the solar cells because you have to, you know, it's dusty out there. And then every month they change them 1 to 2 degrees, and there is a panel up there saying, you know, here at, you know, this month it needs to be at this number. And very well, again, so that, you know, that they're learning how to maintain these things and run these things for the most efficiency so that it can be an ongoing project. Because the goal is to be, we leave, it keeps going in there, maintaining.
So are those stoves in every hut, or is there one main cooking hut that they use the stove?
Every hut.
Every hut.
Yeah.
Now, I actually took both these pictures here. And to me, it's really interesting that right where the white line is where the fence is on the outside. So this is probably, I don't know, 50 yards apiece, where they've taken land that looked like this, and now it's this. And this is, to me, this was a very telling story of what we're doing here. Because most of the garbage is, you go and there's nothing for miles, and you come to a town and they're used to just taking the garbage out to the edge of town. This is the edge of town, happens to be where the thing, so you come into town and the town's clean, but then, you know, we saw people, donkey carts again, coming out and the edge of the, you know, dump the trash out. So this is again very close to each other, so it's an interesting situation.
So now where they taking their garbage?
They still take it to the edge of town. They don't have a waste
Yeah,
disposal
there's
system.
no, they have no garbage collection.
Not out in the rural area, let me say, the cities do, but.
So the program is $230,000. That takes care of the 5 years. Working with a number of clubs in a number of different districts. We've got connection, also working with a club in New Hampshire right now, of all places. And of course, Snoqualmie Valley is right there near the top.
So this is one of the, we went and visited one of the villages there, and they picked something that day, and they were very proud to show us their bounty, that they had gotten all the different types of vegetables and plants. The Senegal actually does have a couple of cash crops, peanuts and
Cashews.
cashews, that's what it is. But it's only during the rainy season, and they're not used to gardening year round. So part of the training is, you know, during the dry season, what do you do? During the wet season, what do you plant? How do you bring in fertilizer in there? How do you rotate crops? And so part of there's a lot of training that goes on and repetitive because, you know, you get a season, then it's a year later. Do you remember what you did last season? So that's why this is a 5-year program, is to install what they're doing there in both the crops. And generally, like you said, crops start out with feeding the local families. They increase the production, and then they'll sell probably get half it in the village. The interesting with the chicken ones is that they actually have pre-orders, a lot of these, because they use organics and they use pesticides. They're well known for their chickens, so their chickens are pretty much pre-sold.
Are they using the chickens primarily as meat? Or
No eggs, all
No,
meat.
no.
Yeah. And interesting, one of the places we went, they showed us how they were selling their chickens, and they were showing them the math of, you know, how much it costed originally, how much they spent in feed, some other things made, you know, X amount of money. They did show a percent, and then next to it said, here's all the people that participated in this activity and how much they participated, and they got a share of the earnings. And if you had a dot in every, you know, the 6 weeks time period or 8 weeks dot, you got 100% share. And then they were going to the next day decide what they were going to do with the profits, because they took out enough to buy the next batch of chicks and feed. And we asked later, we understood that they actually decided to take half of it and put it into their voluntary savings thing to distribute out. So of course, I'm a bean counter by trade, and so I says, well, what do they charge? They charge 5% a week
Yeah.
interest on the money that they loan to people And generally, they loan it to everyone who's participated in the group. They don't lend it outside.
5% a
A week. Average loan was 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
week. So whether my friends in Chicago share.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in this state, they would go to jail.
Well, so microfinance, are they using microfinance funds for?
They're all self-generated funds. Part of the program when they start is of the original funding, the village puts up 10% of the cost
Yep.
in cash, except for anything related to the well. That's all covered by the program. But again, part of it is to get that buy-in and commitment.
Yeah, it works out to about $2,000, which is a big commitment for a rural village.
The other thing is you mentioned, you have it up there, and I'm going to emphasize, is that the Dakar Millennium Club kicked in 2000. And when we were over there, we were visiting the villages. We wanted to make sure to vet the program and make sure that it's working correctly and we could get a good village. And then we went and visited clubs in Dakar. And they were so happy, one, that someone was meeting with them, two, they liked this idea so much. I mean, that's the max they've ever given, at least what the guy told me. I understood his French correctly, so I'm going to qualify. And they actually tried to hold the meeting, a third of the meeting, in English for us, just so that we could feel as part of the group, which was fun.
Is Dakar, is that a cosmopolitan city with, is there educated
Very.
businesses?
It is the second largest trade hub in Africa. It is the farthest point west. Very French, European looking and influenced, but with second or third world infrastructure. What was your comment about the cement?
Oh, the concrete sidewalks.
Concrete, sorry. There, you're gonna teach me that word yet.
Yeah, the infrastructure is pretty ragged in a lot of places. But the people in this club go very, very worldly.
Very.
Pretty sophisticated business people by and large, and very enthusiastic about this project. The village is about 3 hours inland from Dakar.
You still have that rally, that Paris to Dakar, and that's the whole thing?
I think they moved that, is what I read. Yeah, right.
How stable has it been, currently is, and the future projection of stability for the government itself?
Yeah, good question. It's very stable. The projection is good. They've been good. It's 90, as far as religion, it's 95% Muslim, but there's hardly any radical element that you hear.
They don't have a rebel or rebellion happening on. It's not on. My wife said you can't go if it's on the U.S. terrorist list or whatever.
Don't
which
fly
it is.
list.
Yeah, no fly. It's not on that one. And again, the people were very friendly, open everywhere we went. We felt comfortable and projected. So it is a democracy. They had just changed presidents probably within a year or two after we got there.
Yeah, they're attracting a lot of foreign investment.
They are.
China's a big investor, just like they are in all the African countries right now. So is Turkey. It was interesting. Turkey's a
Yeah.
big investor in Senegal right now.
And oil, they've got oil and gas off the coast, so they've actually got a lot of oil and gas investment coming in, which is new to that area. So
Yeah, yeah. But their goal is to become an even bigger trading hub than they are right now. They just built a new airport. They had a new airport that just opened 45 miles out of Dakar, and that opened December 9th last year. Brand new airport.
Very impressive. Any other questions? All right. No, I got the check.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. But come on, guys. But Rod, if you wouldn't mind.
I like the one where I get behind you.
Yeah, I know. I think we need a new check. It's getting a little tattered.
I've always wanted to do this, but
Yeah, I know. These are always pretty cool.
Yeah, they are.
But thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, it's been like that.
It just-
Since
yeah,
I did
Is that- is that good?
Square.
Yeah, there.
Okay.
It's supposed to be.
Act like you know each other. Just
That is good, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay.
That's gonna make the paper right there.
Okay.
Then you leave.
All right. That's how we stand at the end of the beer garden.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're still standing.
For a reason.